So it's exactly 10 o'clock, I believe, and we have a quorum. Hopefully Miranda will join when she's ready to log on. Thanks, everybody, and meeting's called to order. Just one organizational thing up front. I just want to thank the mayor and Michael Hoffman for helping us move forward on selecting a secretary for the commission. It's been a while. This is good news. I've got to say, Michael, in particular, whatever his job description may be as assistant to the mayor, has been incredibly helpful in all the web stuff and pretty much anything else that we ask him to do. He doesn't say it's not in my remit. He just does it. He helps out, which has been great. We proposed a candidate to the mayor. The hiring decision is the mayor's, and there probably is some bit of paperwork in terms of filing tax forms and being sworn in, but that'll happen real quick, and I don't think that we're at risk to announce this, because it really is good news. I've missed that whole support area that I haven't had. So Jan Egan, who I see is on the meeting, has been approved by the mayor, and pending some paperwork and oath of office, will be the commission secretary. I'm really pleased and really happy that Jan's agreed to do this, and I thank the mayor for supporting us.
Thank you, Phil.
First order is to review the minutes, and I believe that our minutes are going to improve dramatically, also appear more dramatically, so that we catch up with our missing bits, or in full compliance. I'm very aware of the gap, and we're going to fix it. Jan and I will. Attorney Polidoro was kind enough to do some, I think, pretty fine notes on the last meeting, and I copied and pasted them and issued them out to you guys. I think they're darn good. We're going to get better. First order of business then is to approve the minutes from the meeting of June 10th. All that stuff went out very early this morning. Comments or questions, or may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Thank you very much. Hugh, in a second.
Second.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The minutes are approved. And thank you so much, Victoria. Next, we have well, let me get down to the bottom. I want to be sure that I didn't miss anybody on C of A applications. I don't think we had any absolutely brand new things in the pipeline, but we had stuff that is carried over from previous meetings. I have 13 South 3rd Street and I have Depot District as applications. Is there anyone on this meeting whom I've missed?
Hey, Phil,
Craig?
827, 829 Warren, I don't think they were at the last meeting.
Thanks very much, Craig.
9 Union Street, I think they came in late. 239, yeah, I think everybody else was there. I can't locate my sheet from last month, but I know 827, 829 was not at the last meeting.
Okay, they're in.
Third wasn't. They should be on today, both of them.
I'll make that change to the agenda. Thanks very much, Craig. That's terrific. So next order of business is certificate of appropriateness votes. For any newbies out there, these are applications that have been approved, and the city attorney prepares a C of A. That C of A is then voted on by the commission. First up is, what do you have there, Victoria? 239 Warren Street. May I have a motion to approve the C of A for 239 Warren?
Motion.
Thank you very much, Miranda. And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None carried. What do we got? I have 529 Warren, I believe, but what have you got, Victoria? Okay. Motion to approve 529 Warren Street.
Motion.
Thank you very much. Hugh, in a second, please.
I'll second.
Jeremy, done. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None approved. 827, 829. Craig, that's the app you were talking about. They're not up for a C of A, I take it.
No, you had. Of course not.
No, I found my list. They were no-show last month or last meeting, I'm sorry, and 13 South Third was a no-show.
Got it. All right. I will fix that on the agenda going forward. 339 Allen Street. The motion to approve 339 Allen Street. Anyone?
I'll make that motion.
Thanks
Second.
very much, Jeremy. And a second, you all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 317 Allen Street. Motion, please, to approve 317.
Motion,
Okay.
Miranda.
Miranda, thanks so much. In a second, please.
I'll second.
Jeremy, all in favor? Are there any opposed? Approved. 253 Union Street. Motion to approve 253 Union Street. Hugh,
Sure.
and a second.
Second.
Miranda, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. It's approved. 76 North Fifth Street.
So I just want to point out, this is the one that did have a condition about adding the head trim.
Right.
And then there was discussion about adding a window to increase the symmetry, but it wasn't a requirement. So it was a strong suggestion. And so that's not in the C of A.
Understood. I'll follow up with Walter. You can follow up with us. So he needs to show us that he's complied with the required before Craig will issue the final doc. May I have a motion to approve 76 North Fifth Street with the contingency as stated by Attorney Polidoro?
I'll make that motion. Jeremy.
Jeremy, thank you. In a second.
Second.
Miranda, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. 76 North Fifth Street is approved. 9 Union Street. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Jeremy, and a second.
Second.
Anyone? Thanks, Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you very much. That's approved. Okay. So folks that are carrying over from prior meeting for whatever circumstance, let's go with 13 South 3rd Street. Who's here to speak for 13 South 3rd?
Bill, she may be signing on. She actually just called me. So she'll be
Okay.
in the process.
So let's skip on. Let's go to 827, 829 Warren.
Is this Under Sheriff Jacqueline Salvatore?
That is me.
Yes,
I
there
filed
she
on
is.
behalf of for Jason Denton. And I was having difficulty unmuting.
Good morning. Thank
Good
you.
morning. There are 2 applications. The first is for a sign.
At 827, 829 Warren.
13 South 3rd.
Oh, 13 South 3rd. Forgive me. Oh, please go ahead then.
The
Are you
first-
comfortable sharing your screen?
I am.
Terrific.
The first is for a sign, and I submitted photos. When he took over this business, the original sign for Feast a rabbit. Yeah, I can't think of the name of the old restaurant. I'm sorry. So the old restaurant sign was there, and he took it's exactly the same size. He actually painted over the old sign to put the F&F logo for the current restaurant.
Terrific. It looks like
Fish and game.
you started to share and you went back to the video.
So Fish and Game was the original sign that was there.
Got it.
The name changed, new owner to Feast and Flourish. So he painted over the old sign. This is for the awning that's over the outdoor eating seating area. So there are 2.
The awning is part of the application?
No, there are 2 separate applications.
I see. Which do you want to start with?
Whichever one you got popped up, I'll go to that one. If you had the awning there, we can start with that.
No, nothing's on the screen. You bring it up and for some reason it just it pops back to you.
Okay.
I have the awning up, but I can't find elevations of the sign. So Craig, if you have them, if you want to email them to me.
All right. So the awning, there's an existing awning there. It is retractable. And when the wind blows, the awning goes back and it saturates anyone who is sitting in that area, who is eating. And so this application is for a fixed awning with a standing seam roof so that they can accommodate seating year round. It would be permanent. And those are the drawings that are associated with it.
What's the material of the roof?
Standing seam.
So it is metal.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
And currently there's a retractable awning that's and it's attached to the building over that.
I remember we approved it back in the day.
Mhm.
Commissioners, questions?
Is there a color of the awning?
I'm sorry, I did
Is it gonna be metal or?
Yes.
Black or? Okay.
metal, black metal standing seam roof.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, I have a motion to find the application for a standing seam awning at 827, 829 complete. Anyone? Miranda, thank you. And a second?
Hugh.
Thank you, Hugh. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The application is complete. May I have a motion to waive a public hearing and ask the city attorney to prepare a C of A for the awning?
Yes.
Hugh,
I'll
and a
second.
second, Jeremy, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Approved. Awning is done. Let's go to sign.
The existing sign that's there is what was originally in place. It was painted over. So it has the logo of the new restaurant, which is Feast and Florid. The old logo was Fish and Game. So nothing has changed other than the appearance of the sign. They painted it over to have a new logo.
Under Sheriff, do you have a photo or a drawing so we can see it?
Let me see if I don't know that I have one here.
I just sent it to Victoria. Maybe she. can
Okay,
share.
cool. All right, we'll get it. Thank you.
Get it, Victoria?
Craig, I received the application, but when I go through it, there's no signed photographs. It's just the written application. I had pulled it up earlier, but it didn't have the pictures.
Let me look here.
So are we approving just the repainting of the sign? Is that the ask here? That's already been done? I'm not sure what the, are you creating a new sign
Yes.
for that space?
I think we should take a look at it. I mean, it's repainted over the original material, but as far as signs go, it's effectively a new sign.
Okay. So it's approving something that's in place already. Is that right?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, I didn't-
It's approving something that is already in place.
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. So it's size, scale, positioning. That's all a done deal. I'm just hoping we take a look at it.
I found a picture online.
Victoria,
Yes?
the email I just sent you, the attachment is the application. The sign is actually in the body of the email.
In the body of the email. Okay.
Yeah, if you scroll down, you'll see it. I can't print it that way. You got it? It
I
should-
see the same one too, Miranda, if you want me to check, have it up as well.
It should show the building with
I
the,
could just share my screen because I've got a photo of the sign.
there it is. Victoria's got it.
The old sign.
That's the old sign, correct?
But if you scroll down, there it is. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going, keep going. There's the new sign.
Yay.
Terrific. Thank you.
Making me hungry.
Well, I know. It does look kind of tasty. Motion to find the sign application complete.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jeremy. In a second, please. Hugh, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to ask the city attorney to prepare a C of A.
I'll
Anyone?
make that motion.
Jeremy, thank you. And a second, please.
Second.
Miranda, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? Under Sheriff, we did it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay. Where was I? 13 South Third. Craig, you said was signing in?
That's what we just did.
Oh, good.
Do you want to skip to 827, 829 Warren?
I do.
Okay.
Is someone here to speak for them? Going once, going twice? Anyone for 827, 829 representing the application? Okay, pass. Next is Depot District. Who will be addressing us today? Dan?
Hello, everyone.
Good morning, Dan.
I'm here with Charlie Gottlieb, our project attorney, as well as Jason Anderson, the architect for 708 State, also known as 76 North 7th, and George Chang, the architect for 75 North 7th. And just as a preface, I circulated at the end of last week our final updated elevations that specify all of the exterior materials for the two buildings. And I'm excited to share that we were able to find a way to use real regular brick at 75 North 7th as opposed to an insulated brick product or an EFA stucco finish or any of the other alternatives that we talked about. So thanks to George and Jason and our passive house engineer, we were able to go back to the drawing board and find a technical solution to some of the challenges that make doing a passive house real brick building challenging. But we believe we found a path forward. So I'm delighted to have George present to you the drawings, which incorporate real brick and also make some color adjustments to the brick specifications. Following our last meeting, I felt and our team felt it very important to make sure that the color selections, as well as the material selections, reference nearby buildings, because we really don't want one building to stand out from the other. We want them to appear to really match the neighborhood. So we've selected a brick color that closely matches the current brick color of the upper Depot building, which was just recently restored.
Okay, cool.
So you'll know those two changes, but I'll leave it to George to present 75 North 7th, and then we can have Jason give another run through 708 State. And our goal is to hopefully, we're optimistic that we've satisfied all of the feedback and the input from the HPC, and we hope we'll be able to get a vote in favor of a CFA today so that we can keep moving forward with this important project. So at that, I'll turn it to George.
Thanks, Dan.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Is everyone able to see my screen? I just check.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Fantastic. Okay, so here we're presenting some. Just excuse me, our office building is doing a fire. They're testing the fire alarm system, so you might hear sirens periodically as they're testing them. So I apologize for that. But I do want to say thanks for having us. So I want to first let everyone know on the Preservation Commission that we definitely heard and acknowledged your comments about the preference for real brick, the real full depth brick, particularly at the street facades. And we studied it, and we're going to keep the existing mass of the building, but we reviewed internally, and despite the additional costs and challenges to upgrade our structural system, as well as making passive house certification a little bit more difficult, we're committed to providing real brick on the street face elevations on North 7th and on Rope Alley facades. So you see here on North 7th Street, we're going full brick. This is the brick that's being proposed. It's a Belden brick, Century Red, and that'll, and just for a reference, this is the Depot building. So that red brick will very closely reference the Depot building. For the cast stone, so all the architectural elements, surrounds, banding. We're looking to do a tinted cast stone that'll work nicely with the brick. In terms of the windows, we've made them slightly larger, slightly taller, and they'll be 2/2. What else did we cover here? And then in terms of the windows, they will be a fiberglass window with painted green, probably a hunter green. So I think that's all, to us, this is very much contextual to the neighborhood, to the depot building. And I think we're hoping that this will satisfy, some of the concerns around both material, but also really reflecting the historic nature of the depot district. So this is North 7th. We'll show you Rope Alley. Rope Alley. So along Rope Alley, we're proposing this wing of the building to be all brick. Our doors, windows, we're going to do as the hunter green. And as we turn towards the back, or actually I think this next elevation is, the back, we're looking to keep the brick color, but change it to ephes. That'll help to maintain our passive house insulation requirements, but also we think that it'll, in terms of the color, it'll very much match the brick. So it'll satisfy both us in terms of passive house insulation, but also hopefully the aesthetic will still carry through. And this is on the fire station side. So this would be the north elevation. We're bringing the brick, we're returning the brick about 5 feet or so, and then that terminates, and then that'll transition to ephes along the side of that elevation.
Dan, a question. I think I know the answer, but at this point in time, there are no other permanent structures that we're going to be looking at other than just the 2 buildings.
Correct.
Okay. So I know that having seen sort of the initial concepts, there was a sort of flow to it and a neighborhood thing, but that'll be coming down the pike.
So we had previously shown some possible future concepts, but we don't have any development plans for other buildings yet. But that was more of just a kind of example of a strategy that could be used for the neighborhood. But yeah, we have not presented any plans or development strategies for any other buildings except for these.
Okay, cool.
Would you be kind enough, while you're on this elevation, to explain the use of the cast brick, or I'm sorry, the cast stone and the transition to ephes? It looks like you're using 2 different colors of ephes. Is that correct? If you could explain to the commission where you're using cast stone and where you're using the ephes, it would be very helpful.
Sure. Essentially, wherever we're proposing brick, will have cast stone. So that's essentially the North 7th Street facade and Rope Alley facades.
Excuse me, if you could just zoom in on these elevations, it's rather difficult to distinguish between the brick and the cast stone in this shared screen.
Okay,
but
sorry
when you
about that.
zoom in like you're doing it now, you begin to see the differences and the way that you put the cast stone together with the brick. I think it's really important for the commission to see that and understand it.
Sure. So I would say the architectural features that we're seeing here, where we're calling out for cast stone, it hasn't really significantly changed from our prior facade proposals. It's just the coloration is a little different, but we have a water, essentially a water table, and then at the window aprons, at some of the window aprons, we have sort of a framed panel type cast stone. We'll have surrounds to frame out the windows. We've got a band at the second floor just to break up the facade. And then we're going to look at doing this pediment in cast stone as well. Along at the center portion, really, there's not too much cast stone. I think it's really just this band that's a break from the brick to the mansard roof, which we've looked at before. It's a standing seam mansard roof. And then on the south wing, again, not too much cast stone, really just this band that breaks at the third floor. And then on the upper floors, it'll most likely be some kind of fiberglass or wood painted in green.
Would you explain where you have a window that is fully surrounded by brick, as in the middle section? What are you doing for the window sills there? How will that sills of the window interact with the brick? Where will the window plane of the fiberglass, you're using a fiberglass window. What's the sill condition and of that?
Sure. So we're going to try to keep the sill profile fairly slim, but it'll most likely be a cast stone sill. And a lug sill, so it's not a slip sill, not a lug sill, right? So it aligns to the edges of the window, just to provide pitch away, pitch for stormwater to shed away from the window.
So that in this case, there's no arch. There'd be a steel lintel that will be on.
There will be a steel lintel. We will paint it. So the underside of that lintel will be visible, but we will have to paint it. So
Right.
there will be a lintel that carries this brick.
Right,
At
but
the
no
ends.
arch in the brick, and in the sill, you're going to be using a cast stone sill, but it's going to be rather thin. Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Yes. Okay, and then just on the ephes side, the sill. Here, I'll bring it. I think we showed on the ephes side. We'll have this will be an aluminum sill, but again, we're going to try to keep that profile fairly small, fairly thin, just because the ephes can't carry the cast stone sill.
Right. And so if you would just, so here, you're on the opposite side of the street side here, is that correct?
Correct. This is the side that would face North 6th Street.
Okay, and so here you're using two different colors of the stucco ephes for a a banding, if you will.
Yeah, so the field, what would be kind of representing, or replacing what would be brick is this drive-it ephes color.
Yeah.
And then just to differentiate sort of what would be considered architectural banding, we're proposing a slightly different color, which is this totem pole drive-it color.
Right. And that band goes around the, as we're viewing this on the right-hand side and connects up with a band on the street. Is that, it's a little bit
Correct.
more obvious
Yes,
what you've
yes.
done on the left-hand side here.
Yeah, so this band connects, wraps around to the street face, absolutely. Right, because we're essentially treating this volume as sort of as one massing,
Right.
this volume at the north volume as one volume, and then the center volume sort of all independently.
And so then if you would go back, if you would go to what would be the north elevation, the fire station side.
Yep.
Then, as you mentioned, on the left-hand side of this, on this, toward the street, you'll be returning back about 5 feet of brick
Correct.
and about 5 feet of cast stone.
Correct. Yeah, we should show a line here
Right.
to note that break, but yeah, I think
So then you'll transition to all ephes behind that 5 feet, the
Correct.
two colors. And even your stone, you have a kind of a panel in between the third and fourth and fifth windows.
Yep.
That would then also be ephes.
correct.
And so you'd have a change at the horizontal band that you have at the top of the second floor windows, and then at the roof in this drawing.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or clarifications?
So the ephes is only on the back side. It's on the other three sides. It's the same as the front, correct?
Right. So the ephes is entirely on the west facade.
Right.
And
One
then
faces Sixth Street.
correct. And then on the majority of the north facade.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's on two. You have two and two.
Correct.
And that's because of the way you approach it. That's the idea behind it, the visibility of the facade as you approach the building.
Absolutely. And the street facades are the most visible, and we want them to be the most durable. So that's where we're putting all the brick, and then the areas where there's less access, less visibility, we're looking to do the ephes.
Do you have a rendering of this that shows which streets are where? A ground plan kind of that shows where 7th Street is and where 6th Street is?
I have an older 3D view of the building, but it's not
trouble visualizing which side is which.
sure.
George,
So
maybe you could just walk through again, and because it's labeled on the elevations here. If you go to the North 7th, yeah, this one shows North 7th Street.
yep, right
There,
here.
labeled on the street. So this is if you're standing over at where the other building at 708 State is going to be. So this is kind of, one of the two faces of what will be a new commercial corridor coming up from Warren Street.
And George, if you need it, I can also bring up a plan for you that shows the site.
Oh, okay.
That
Well,
plan would
Right.
be
So
very
this
helpful.
this little key plan sort of helps, showing that this is North 7th Street, and this is looking at the North 7th Street facade, essentially looking west.
West.
So this is the building that's on the right in that?
On the left.
On the left.
Oh,
This,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm really
Yep.
Yeah,
confused.
if you're walking up from Warren Street, this building would be on your left.
correct.
Okay.
And that's the other reason why we also have brick on the Rope Alley side. If you can go to that one now, George, I think it's helpful. So this is Rope Alley. So as you're walking up on Warren Street, as you're
You'll see
approaching the
this.
building, that's what you're going to be seeing to your left. So we wanted to make sure, because a lot of people are going to be walking up from Warren Street into the Depot District. So we wanted to make sure that this side also uses real brick.
So can you, with your cursor, just so I'm sure I'm not confused, can you
Mhm.
show me on the little key which side we're looking at right now?
We're looking on this. So this is Rope Alley over
right
here,
okay,
and this is North 7th.
okay.
Okay.
We've
that-
we've
So the
actually had
sides
discussion
that
in the
have the
past about
ephes.
having a real site plan that to view and to consider, and I think it would be extremely valuable if Jason, you had suggested that you could bring up a site plan would be extremely useful for the commission to understand the orientation of these facades to the city.
I can do that now if you'd like.
I can stop sharing. You can go ahead.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so I tried to, as we were just talking here, sort of highlight the sides that George was referring to that are EPIS. So essentially, you can see, I'll stretch this down just a little bit. So you've got North 7th here. And so essentially, these two facades down Rope Alley and also on North 7th is the authentic materials, the brick and cast stone. It wraps the 5 feet as George was explaining. And then essentially wrapping this area is the transition to EPIS.
And what is the street to the west of all of this at the top of the
6.
drawing? That's 6th Street.
Yep.
But there are a number of properties, west of this property that before you get to 6th Street.
Uh-huh. I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's
sorry about
very-
that.
And the section in the center with the circle is an outdoor area?
Correct. So that's a rear yard area that'll be landscaped, and then with benches, seating, probably some tables and chairs.
This is an old,
In this
Plan.
site plan,
this is an old plan as well. So this garage is no longer here.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
That's been removed.
okay, is there provisions for fencing along the rear property line or the rope alley? And is there dumpster location indicated in the design?
Yeah, so within the building, and actually let me see if I can pull up the latest floor plan.
Stop sharing.
So here is our site plan. So this is our cellar plan. We have within the building there will be trash storage for the residential, but also for the commercial retail spaces. So all that is happening here at the cellar. There's a compactor room, and then there's sorry, it actually shows up on this plan. There's retail refuse here. So so that's primarily going to be stored there. And then when sanitation comes by, it'll be taken out to be removed and disposed of. As you can see in the rear yard, we do call, and actually we do show where we currently are now looking at putting some mechanical equipment out here, so that'll be screened. And actually, let me pull up this elevation, which actually does show what's being proposed here. So we're proposing wrought iron fence with a gate, and then steel louvered screen to conceal the mechanical equipment that's going to be sitting behind the screen.
In this view, the wrought iron gate and the wrought iron fence that you're showing to the left post and those 3 items, thank you. Is that the property line adjoining the rear properties?
Yeah, it'll be inside the property line, but yes, more or less.
So that is the property line that's perpendicular to Rope Alley.
Yes,
So that indicates the rear property line. Could you then zoom back out a bit? The main trash door then is there are two doors on Rope Alley. This building sits right on Rope Alley. There's
yes,
no setback off of Rope Alley, correct?
correct.
So these two doors that are there, they open out onto a 3-foot wide sidewalk.
Yep.
And the one door, as we're viewing it to the right, is the trash door. Correct?
Correct.
What
For
is
the
the
for
door to the
commercial.
left?
This is a egress door from
So that's
from the cellar. Sorry, not
Only
from
from the cellar, not.
Sorry, no, it's from the upper floors actually.
So all of the 4 floors, 5 floors above that, is that an emergency egress? Is that a regular egress? Is that a daily use egress?
No, this is our second means of egress. It's not a primary egress.
Okay, so it's emergency, essentially emergency only
Correct.
in its use. So the change of grade that occurs across Rope Alley there then is, the idea is that the trash comes out of the door and it's put on the sidewalk for the city trash collection to collect. Is that correct?
I believe that it's going to most likely be brought to this rear area, but so the trash gets stored here, and then also within the residential compactor room, and then on collection days it's taken out and brought to this gated area for collection.
Uh, Could you go back to the site plan, please?
Sure. So this gate is pulled, it's pulled back from the property line a little bit, so that there is some room, for trash bags, containers, before collection.
So there's there are trash chutes. There are trash chutes to each floor.
Yes,
And that goes to the basement area for compaction and
Correct.
removal.
correct. In addition, on each floor, there's recycling bins. So all the recycling is separated out, collected, and then brought into that compactor room until it's ready for collection.
One of the things that we had asked that, to be provided earlier was the setback from the main building, the building that's closest to the rear property line. As we're looking at this, it would be in the upper right-hand corner. What are those dimensions, if you could zoom in on that?
I think this is actually a dimension just to the roof, but let me see if I have it on this plan. I can actually give you a dimension. I believe it's about 13 feet. Yeah, it's a little over 13 feet, 13.6.
So that rear facade, which we were looking at earlier, that is 5 stories high, coming up over a slope grade, 5 stories high, is 13 feet thick, approximately 13 and a half feet from the rear property line.
Correct.
What is the I mean, this is a zoning question, not an HPC question, but what's the rear yard requirement for a building of that height in this zone?
This is Charlie Gottlieb from Whiteman, Osterman and Hannah, Land Use Counsel for the applicant. This is in the GTC zoning district, and there are no area and bulk requirements. So there are no setback requirements and there are no height requirements.
Wow.
Excuse me, Chip.
Yeah.
I continue whatever questions you want, but in terms of materials, which was certainly one of the subjects for today, I did want to ask the other commissioners if there's anything that was unclear about that, because I'm not sure everybody's had an opportunity to weigh in, and there may be no questions or concerns, but
Well, this is really the first time we've had any discussion about the site plan, so.
okay,
it
I'm not.
just
I'm
comes
not-
to mind.
No, Chip, it's not like that. It's just everybody else was being so quiet is getting concerned that they may not have weighed in. I didn't want to change anything in the direction of what you were doing.
But
Okay.
were there other asks aside from the break from that I unfortunately was not able to attend that meeting? Were there other asks around the materiality piece?
The critical issue in the previous meeting, the one you were not in, Jeremy, was the introduction of a new type of material. However, whatever the formal description it was, but essentially a synthetic brick.
Mhm.
We had a fair bit of discussion, certainly on appropriateness, compatibility with Hudson in terms of materials and so on, and ask the applicant to consider finding another solution in order to achieve the environmental goals or whatever's on the table. And they've done that. And to me, that was the main topic, as I recall, in the last meeting, was that critical piece of material, which I believe they've answered today.
Yeah, I mean, my only comment, and I feel like it is appropriate when I look at what's around. I think the design originally played on this idea of a main street where you had different types of buildings combined, and I think by making it all brick, it does feel like one building now, which is fine if we want to go in that direction. Hopefully, the depth will address that kind of feeling of Main Street and different buildings kind of compiled together. But you do lose a little bit of that differentiation of trying to make it feel as diverse as the Main Street warrants. I don't think that should hold us up in any way. For me, when I look at it visually, by wrapping it all in the same material, it does feel like one thing, and it does kind of reinforce its massiveness.
No, I do understand that. I think that one of the things that we'd been kicking back and forth, and the applicant had, was the degree to which they wanted to differentiate the two buildings. And I'm guessing they should answer for themselves, really not so much. They wanted them to look very related. I think that the other theme that we had talked about, certainly Walter had talked about quite a bit in earlier presentations, was trying to achieve some degree of industrial fabric and industrial feel, of which the material is obviously a critical part. So that's some of the stuff that's been worked on. I think they've moved a lot of that, in my opinion. I think they've moved a lot of that forward.
I agree.
Any other folks? Just on, well, anywhere you want to go, but I just want to be sure we understood and had some sense of what materials are being proposed, and the degree to which the commission feels it was responsive to what we asked them about.
I just want to say, I do think that, I know it's a big step in terms of both cost and construction issues to use the natural materials, the authentic materials on the Rope Alley and North 7th Street facades. And I think it's very important, and I'm glad that the applicant has done that. And also, I think that the window sizes are much more appropriate than they were when they were much smaller. It had a kind of, you know, almost like a prison look to it. And I think this is much more gracious, and certainly there'll be more light inside. So I think there's a lot of steps forward in this. I am not an architect. I'm not familiar with these materials. I have some concern about the use of the ephes on the north side of this building. It's a very large facade, and I don't really know. I guess it's the firehouse that's on the other side of it, and it's not a heavily developed part of Hudson. The courtyard doesn't bother me so much, partly because I think it's a little more sheltered from the weather also. I'm just imagining how this might look 10 years on when this is weathered in a way that's quite different from the front of the building, and whether, you know, we would have some concerns about how that's going to hold up over time and what it will look like. Chip, do you have any knowledge about these materials and how they weather?
I think that's an excellent question for the applicant.
So we actually specify ephes quite often because of its because of its thermal insulation value, but also secondly, it's a very pliable material. In other words, you can do a lot with it. You can shape it however you want. You can create architectural banding that ordinarily would cost a lot of money if we were trying to do it with cast stone. So it's a very flexible material and you can make it, you can make it look very modern. You can make it look very rustic. So it's in terms of material, texture, colors, it's really a very versatile material. You can make it look very smooth or have more of a sand finish. You can also make it look like rain screen panels. It's gotten to a point where, you can make it look like brick. So it's in terms of like the material itself, we've been specifying ephes within our office for the last 2 decades, and we go back to those buildings and they still look really good. The technology is that they actually have the newer technology is that they actually also have it's a coating on the ephes where it helps to shed water. So in the ability to shed water, it also, at least according to the manufacturer, it helps to actually clean it as well. So any dirt that may build up, anytime it rains, it actually helps to shed or to clean the surface of the ephes. And the other thing about ephes is that, if it does start to kind of wear, you can go back and add a new finish coat. So, and for our buildings, we haven't ever gotten to that point. The material, the colors are still very vibrant from most of the buildings that we have done.
Thank you,
And
that's helpful.
If I could just add to what George says as well, because we're proposing it on the other building as well behind, as we discussed at our last meeting. But essentially, it's stucco, right? It's stucco over insulation, so it still has synthetic properties to it. Between the insulation and the final coat that they do to it, but essentially the appearance and the durability is similar to stucco.
Thank you. Great questions. Anyone else, or keep on going where we're going? I'm sorry, Chip, I didn't mean to disrupt you. I just want to be sure we did cover the material bits.
No, not at all. In fact, I was done, and I also am looking forward to hearing what other commission members think about all this. I'm sorry that we're down 2 members today. I really look forward to hearing what others think.
Anybody want to jump in who has not?
Yeah, Phil, Hugh here. I think the applicants have, at least from my end, based on our questions of a couple of weeks ago, have, answered my concerns. I think that the solutions are right on. The building seems to, really fit in to the neighborhood, and I think it's a sensitive and thoughtful solution, and I like it a lot.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay.
Actually, I do have one question, which looking at that north facade, which I hadn't really focused on before. What's the roof there? Is that also the standing seam metal roof, but not in a mansard shape?
Sorry. Correct. This is so this on the south and the north wings, those volumes have a gable roof. So what we're seeing is, the one side of the gable. On the other side, we also have, the stainless steel metal roof, but we're proposing solar panels on that side because that'll have the proper exposure for collecting, photovoltaic for our photovoltaic array.
Okay, so the other side of this volume of roof is also gable styles. and
Correct.
with
So
solar panels.
so from this elevation, what we're seeing is actually this
I
side,
see.
this side of the
Uh-huh.
roof. Yes.
Got it. Oh, that's it. I like that, actually.
I do too. Okay.
And what's the back of the center section? Is that mansard on the other side too?
Correct. Yes. So let's see. So this is what you'll see on the back, similar to the front.
Mhm.
Folks, does it make sense at this point to take a look at State Street, or what do you think?
Will we vote on these buildings separately or as a unit?
I think in some sense, it's probably up to us, but I believe the applicant is proposing both buildings in the same vote. We can do what we want. But I would love to see State Street and see where that takes us.
Yeah, let's look at states so we can see how they talk to each other.
All right, Jason, I'm passing it to you.
Sounds good. I'll bring up my screen here. This is what we were just looking at. Let me go to the west elevation, which is really on 7th North 7th Street. So let me try to zoom in a little bit here. This really has not changed from what we reviewed last time, right? So when we looked last time, everything was, everybody seemed to be in agreement on the proportions, the adjustments that were made. I'll quickly walk through it though. So actually this elevation, the only change that was made was the brick that we see here, which now of course goes all the way down to grade, is the Century Red. So that is now the same brick that's being proposed across the street, and that references the Upper Depot building there. So that's the one adjustment on this elevation. Everything else, proportions, roof materials, any other materials, it's exactly as we looked at it last month. So we still have the same mansard. We've got the synthetic slate, the standing seam. We've got, our cornice, which is the AZAC or CPV or PVC material up high. But then of course, down below, we've got wood trim that will also be painted. So there's been no other adjustments to this elevation except for the slight adjustment in the color of the brick. If I go to the south elevation, I'll zoom in a bit more here. So again, the adjustment that was made here was the brick color, as we just discussed. And then at the last meeting, we also discussed the ephes, and you notice the ephes that was up here, we called it out, that it was going to be the Drive It Winter Brown to really play off some of the tones that are in the brick, not to match it exactly, but to play off that. However, we had not rendered that on because that was something we were in discussion on. So at this point, we just adjusted from brick to the synthetic stucco or the ephes there. And so if we were to look, we did look at this last time as well, but let's go to our building on this side. So we had pulled this up on the screen as well. This is where we're proposing the ephes. So we've got 3 sides of brick really along the alleyway, but also along North 7th, Railroad Avenue, and we're returning it about 16 inches actually around each corner, and then making the transition there is what we're proposing. So really not much has changed from the last time we saw this. We had discussed the window proportions, so these had already been updated and adjusted, and so we're really looking at the same thing except for those slight adjustments in color of the brick and to represent the ephes at the back of the building.
Thank you. The other design elements, the use of the stone material for banding and so on, that would be the same on this building as the other, are they?
So we don't have any banding.
Oh,
right?
you
So-
do not, okay.
Right, we eliminated that. We did originally have that at the podium level, so up 1 floor. But then early on, it was discussed that the commission would prefer that the brick come all the way down, a bit more industrial. So, yep, so we did that, made that adjustment.
Understood. Thank you.
And what are the lintel and sill conditions here? And also, would you show us the other elevation?
Yes. So I'll answer this first. So we have the same slip in head and sill. We're proposing precast. So basically an all off-white precast sill and head. At the jams, the brick would return back. And then what we have here is the the window trim and everything else set back into the brick. And that's what's.
And the dark green you had on the other building, is that being carried through or?
No, we're proposing white here for this building.
I like the shift from matching it exactly to the other building.
Yeah, they're cousins, but not sisters. That's what we're working towards. And if you give me a second, I can pull up our latest Revit model, which we can look around the building if you'd like.
That'd be great, Jason.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing for a quick second. And give me 1 moment. Apologize, my internet is just slightly slower. I'm out in Chicago at a conference and in a hotel room trying to do this. Bear with me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on. This is part of the construction documents that we're developing, and so this is a 3-dimensional view. So here we are on North 7th. You can sort of see that, well, you can see that the brick that we have going around. You can see the mansard. Here we've got this really does help understand the projections of the two wings, as well as this lower area where we had the black brick and the lower cornice here. That really helps you to understand the depth and what you'll see from the street, everything coming in and out, and providing some variation as you walk down that street. If I shift over to another sheet here, now we'll take a look as we transition. Zoom in on this. So this is Railroad Avenue here. And then this is where we're going to transition. In fact, you can already see the brick wraps the corner here, and then we transition to the EIFS as we go around the building. So I'll zoom out a little bit. So that's what you're seeing as you wrap around the building. You'll notice two things. We've got a hidden on the side here, an overhead door. So we were discussing trash previously on the other side of the street. So we have a little alleyway, not alleyway, but just a driveway that backs up to a door. So similar, all trash drops down inside the building, compacted and brought out there. Additionally, you'll see the back of the building. We actually dropped the roof to create a flat roof here. And so we're hiding any HVAC equipment at that space, so you'll see nothing from any of the surrounding streets.
And does the synthetic slate actually carry across on all
Yeah.
parts of the mansard? There's some white spots. Is that just the rendering?
Yeah, it looks like it just didn't.
Okay, but it can,
Yeah.
it doesn't simplify as you go.
No,
around.
no,
So-
the mansard stays the same, the dormers stay the same. So where we have the synthetic slate, as well as where we have the standing seam, which you see up here, is continuous all the way around the building. And you can see it even on these elevations. It just didn't show up in the 3D view.
The 3D view is very helpful. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Those two windows with the circle in them?
The circle is just, these are construction drawings, so that's
Oh, got it.
which
Which one
window.
it is? I see.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it. So these are more technical drawings.
Sure. Okay.
And are these windows also the fiberglass
Correct.
insulated windows?
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah, they're the fiberglass clad wood.
The trash arrangement and the hiding of the HVAC units on the roof seem to be much more successful on this building than on the other building.
It's tough. I think that the benefit that we had here versus the other was we had the ability from the side. We studied the turning radius here to try to actually get something tucked in, and we were able to do that. That was, I think, unique to this site for that reason. Oops, sorry. I'm working off the laptop, so I know I'm moving things around on you, but that's everything for this building. So hopefully it looks very similar to what we saw a month ago.
Understood. Commissioners, you feel we have the information you need?
Also have a site plan for that, sorry, Phil, a site plan for this side.
So here you go. So this is just slightly. Yeah, so here's the site plan. This is that area. We call it trash collection. So we had the ability to make the transition here. Here is that this is sort of up on the roof we were looking at, but down below, this is an amenity space that we've worked through with the planning board. That's here. We're still working with the utility company. There's probably going to be a big transformer here and some other HVAC units that, we're working through. We've got fencing showed around it to screen. There's been no other change to parking, anything else that's here. We've opened up some of the pedestrian walkways. Again, this is a slightly older site plan, so you don't see some of the jogs that are there, but that's all been incorporated.
Folks, are we in a position where we could begin to vote on the application?
We believe we are.
Okay. Are you guys okay if I believe the applicant had intended or asked that we would be able to vote on both structures at the same time? Is that still true? Is that the
Yes.
ask?
Yep.
Okay. I understand. I don't have a problem with that. May I have a motion to find the application complete?
Motion.
Hugh, thank you. May I have a second?
I will second.
Thanks, Jeremy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None? May I have a motion to,
Chairman, I don't want to complicate this. I just want to make it clear. This inherently involves the demolition of the structures as they presented.
understood, and we went through that in the last two meetings. No,
Just want to make sure all the board members understand it's both. It's the demo and replacement with these structures.
understand.
May I also ask a procedural question? I know that we've had a public hearing on previously relative to some of the massing issues with this, but should we have a public hearing on these finishes?
I would
Just
defer to the,
procedurally.
well, it may simply, the way the code is written is public hearing is the default. And we actually have to reject the idea of a public hearing actively. Otherwise, obviously, there is a public hearing. But Victoria, you want to weigh in?
Well, you did have the public hearing, and off the top of my head, I don't remember which set of plans were presented, but I think these plans were responsive to the comments raised at the hearing. But
Yeah.
I don't know, the applicant can correct me.
We believe that to be the case.
I think they were. Victoria, would within the code, are you okay that are we within bounds if we choose to waive a public hearing?
No, you're not waiving a hearing. You held a hearing.
Correct.
And I'm
so,
not sure it was ever closed, was it? So I guess
Oh,
it's
let me go back.
still open.
Let's pull my notes.
No, I understand. With there, I'm with the story. We have had a public hearing. I personally do not feel we need another public hearing, but
I think,
let me proceed with the motion and see where we go. Victoria, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going back to my notes from May, but yeah, I mean, you held a hearing and then these plans there were changes made in response to the hearing and new information presented. So, you've met the letter of the law. Of course, if you wanted to hold a second hearing, that would be within your discretion to do so, but it's not required.
Okay. I mean, you guys know my view. I think that we did get quite a bit of information out of the last public hearing. I think that in terms of the things that the commission needs to understand, because for us, it's very much about the specifics. We're not opining on the purpose or goal of the construction, et cetera. People have very strong feelings. I get that. But in terms of people providing us information on material, streetscape, et cetera, I think we have what we need. My opinion. But we can vote on that. Where were we on the voting? I believe we were at the point of finding the application complete. Is that correct?
yes.
Yes.
Did we move on
You
that?
voted, I thought there was a,
We voted on that.
yeah, there was a
Good.
vote to find it complete.
I realize that I'm acting slightly hungover. I'm not. This is just regular me in this time of the morning. Good. May I have a motion then to approve the application and request the city attorney to prepare a C of A? Hugh, may I have a
Yes.
second?
Second,
Thank you, Miranda. We can do this by voice vote. Just say either aye or nay. Hugh,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Miranda,
aye.
Chip,
You're muted, Chip.
Sorry, aye.
Bill, aye. Did I miss anybody? The ayes have it. City attorneys requested to prepare a certificate of appropriateness.
I just want to thank everyone on this team who worked with us. I realize you have the patience of Job working with us at times, and it's important, our role in making sure anything new is aligned with the community that we've developed here. So I just want to thank all of you for your ability to work with us.
I also
you.
want to say that I think that the applicants have been very responsive to the comments that we've made within the constraints of the scope of the project, which is something new and different from Hudson. I really appreciate the willingness to use real brick and the willingness to reference architectural features that are common in the city of Hudson without trying to copy any particular building. And I also appreciate the effort to break up the mass of these buildings in various different ways. I think those are all things that help to make something which is really different from the rest of the city into something that will fit in very well. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you all for working through this with us. I know this is quite a unique project compared to what you typically review on this commission. And I think if we look back at the buildings we proposed, I love the way the buildings look now as a result of all the input and the guidance that we've gotten from this commission. So to me, this was a really successful process for the project. So thank you all for taking the time to work through this with us.
Thank you very much, Dan, and everybody. A question of the different subject. Craig, you had sent a mail out as regards a request to do a painted mural on a specific building. Is that something you needed us to opine on, or can we take that offline?
We could probably take that offline. It's more directed to Victoria based on, I think, some confusion in the code.
Well,
when it
this
comes to
this
that.
came up in a different context just 2 weeks ago.
And that's where I questioned it. I understand what our other attorney, the other gentleman was saying, but at the same time, these murals appear and they're, from what I understand, no legal recourse to say that they're not allowed. So at the same time, if they're allowed, how are we reviewing paint on a building of multicolor? That's where the confusion came in.
Mhm.
So I legally, I just want to make sure that whatever I say to these folks, we're all on the same track. The previous, administration, we didn't review murals. So that's where my concern is.
Well, so I mean, maybe this is a broader conversation that we should have with the mayor's council as well, because the code says one thing, how that gets interpreted with the city policy is another thing, and let's make sure we're all on the same page.
That's why I questioned it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
One thing-
Craig, thank you for getting that note on, because I'd at some point I'd like the commission to participate in the conversation, but you guys you guys know the best way forward to do what you got to do.
Really,
One-
Phil, at this point, it's a legal question between us and the code. I kind of send it to you so you're in the loop as a FYI.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we got to have a conversation with the mayor's office regarding it as well. So we'll keep you in the loop. We'll get back to you what direction we end up with this.
Okay.
One thing to consider with that is, when does a mural become a sign? And that may be the touch point for it legally in the code, but
No, it has nothing to do with it. The sign, a mural is not defined under a sign. We have in our code definitions for everything. And under our sign definition, it doesn't mention anything about this. So that's not the issue. The issue is paint on a building in an historic district.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it's a mural or if it's a multicolored paint, it's paint on a building.
Okay. Any business that we missed? I know I still have on our agenda, certified local government, and anybody speaking for that committee. Okay. I think Paul was part of leading the charge on that, and Jeremy, but I'll wait for you guys to get back to us. With that, unless anybody else has business with the commission today, we will adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And no one opposed. Thank you guys so much. This was,
Thank you.
anyway, thanks a lot.